Weirdos. I'm Chris Weir, and this is the Chris Weir Experience. And today we are on episode 8 of The Daily Weirdo. Scott, thanks for joining me again.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about short-term self-benefit.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'll get it right. I'm going to mess that name up a few times today. Just go ahead and be ready for that. But basically what I mean by short-term self-benefit is we're talking about when you are just getting started and you're opening up your own business, your first-time entrepreneur, second-time entrepreneur, it doesn't even matter. You're just starting your business up. And it's that very beginning stages, and that stage may last different lengths. It could be months, it could be years. It's different for every business. But it's those beginning stages where it is so crucially important that you're investing back into your business to ensure long-term growth instead of just reaping a short-term benefit. So I hear constantly, as I get the privilege to interact with so many business owners in advertising and marketing. And for years, I've heard constantly these new business owners who are taking 50 and 60 and 70, 90%, some even take 100% of revenue for their own personal paycheck.
Right. And which won't work.
Well, not if you're trying for long-term growth, right?
Exactly.
So that's the thing is I'm not going to judge, right? You want to take 100% of your revenue, you're a freelancer, though. You're not really a business. But, right, I mean, even if you're taking a high percentage, okay, go for it, take it. But do not complain about growth. So now there's a couple of options, right? So now you can, for instance, me, when I started my first agency, and I'm doing it again for my second, is I'm starting with no debt, no investors. It's all out of my pocket to get everything going. I'm allowing the business to finance itself, right?
So you're allowing your business to grow, so it's self-financing.
Exactly.
Basically.
Right. So that is one option to go. You can also go for investors, angel investors. You can get VCs. You can sell off some of your company. Whatever it is that you want to do, that's fine. There are ramifications for every action.
You have to know what you're doing when you're doing that.
Well, right.
I mean,
you got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Right. When you go out and get other funds, what are you doing?
Yeah. You're giving away your business.
You're giving away your business. You're giving away the thing that you want to make, the thing that you want to, to grow, and you're giving a little bit over to this guy and a little bit over to this guy. And in time, depending on how big you get, hey, that might be a problem. Mm-hmm. But starting out, you got to know what you're doing. And
that's the thing. And I think that's so important, right? Because again, that can work for many businesses. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying, shame on you if you're getting financing or getting VC help or finding an angel investor. Go for it, man. If that's how you're wanting to do and get started and that's what you want, go for it. But here's the deal. As Scott said, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. So what that means as you give away pieces of your business or you take on debt or whatever it is that you're doing, when the shit hits the fan, and oh, by the way, it will, right? It always does. Economies are cyclical. We are very much due for a good kick in the pants with the American economy right now. We really didn't go through it like we should have back at the crash because everybody just bailed everybody out. So we didn't really go through the pains that we should have gone through. And for many, I would say most people who are starting to do business today, if they're younger, right? They didn't go through any hard times. No. They haven't gone through the cycle of a down economy and know how to be prepared and ready for that. And if you have gone out and piled up all this debt, you're just waiting on your next round of financing to be able to keep the business afloat, there will come a time that the money's not there anymore. Right. VCs will stop giving out money. You're not going to find angel investors because they've started stockpiling and not putting any money out. And if you're in debt and you haven't built a business to make money, you've just built a business to hold to the next round of financing, you're going to be in some big, big trouble.
Well, and you have to remember, if you are getting outside money to invest in your business, it is just that. It is money to invest in your business.
That's right.
It's not money for you to go buy a bigger car. It's not money for you to go, hey, I'm going to have my Tahiti vacation now. Those are all benefits and rewards that are going to happen if you invest in your company now, if you invest in your company to get it moving, so it becomes basically, how can I say it? Basically self-financing. You do enough projects and you bank some of those projects that then you can start paying yourself a little more. Then you can start doing these things. But you always got to be aware of where your money is and what you're doing with what money.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a whole nother topic, that we can really talk about budgeting and all. But in the beginning, just like we, and this is almost like a little subtopic off of, part of the, the, what was it? The consumption,
the scatology consumption.
Scatology consumption.
Last week's.
This is, that was more of, hey, sometimes in business you have to do things you don't want to do. But in this first part, where you're growing your business, you're not going to have the cars you want. You're going to get there.
Right.
But realize that you don't have to have them right now. Please work at it, get to where you can have those.
If you want if you want,
I had to have some scotch anyway, so my mouth got a little dry.
If you want long-term success, you have to give up short-term benefits. When I started my first agency, we did not own our home. We were renting our home. We had 2 paid-for cars, right? I had no credit cards at all. Well, no, I take that back. We had a credit card, but there was no balance on it.
Gotcha.
We had 0 debt when we opened my first agency, which allowed me to forego short-term benefits because or taking as much from the company, taking as big of a paycheck from the company. I didn't need it, right? I just didn't have the bills. I didn't have the obligations financially. So I was able to put more of the money. As a matter of fact, the first few months, every penny of the money back into the business to secure long-term success with the business.
Well, and at the same time, did you have a little second job during that time?
I did.
Did you have a little side, something that you're just making some money just so, hey, food, just general things are covered?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, as a matter of fact, I had a 3rd shift job that I was working that was a full-time job when we first opened the agency. So I was working full-time 3rd shift as I was trying to start my agency up. And I worked 3rd shift specifically so that I could have the day to be able to spend on the agency. And I slept when I could. I mean, and there were plenty of days that I went with no sleep. I would get off of work in the morning and I would have meetings all day long and go right back to work that night with no sleep. And I did that plenty of times. Not that I'm recommending that, not that I'm saying go do that. It's not healthy at all, but again, kind of tying in with last week's, eating shit. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. This week we're talking, okay, now let's take that even deeper. So what's one of the ways that you have to eat shit in the very beginning? This is one of those, is as you are building your business and you're getting things going, if you're seeking long-term success, which I would encourage if someone is becoming an entrepreneur and getting into business, you're thinking of a little bit longer term. Now, if you want to package your business and sell it, that's fine, but it's not going to happen in year 1 or 2. Quite frankly, it's probably not going to happen in the first 5 years. What's the stat? I think it's like something less than 30% of all businesses even make it 10 years.
Really?
And one of the top reasons, according to the Small Business Administration, one of the top reasons for businesses closing is not enough financing. But yet we see constantly owners taking huge equity draws out of the very beginning of their business, when in reality they should be getting a part-time job, putting that equity draw back into investing in marketing or into equipment or into personnel or whatever it is for each specific business.
I mean, I will tell you, when I first, really, kind of went out and all with my own architecture firm, one of the things that really pushed me was, I had 2 of my principals who wanted me to go with them to start up a new firm. And one of them was like, oh, Scott, it's going to be great. We're going to have company cars. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to do that. And I'm sitting back going, where the hell's the money coming from?
Yeah.
Where are the projects coming from? Where am I going to be doing this? And while, you do your own little thing, it's like, no. I'm going to do this smart.
Right.
I'm going to do this smart. I had to swallow my pride, because, I did work in architecture firms for probably 8 or 10 years before really going out on my own.
Right.
I worked in some nice offices. I mean, we get samples. Our places were showrooms of what we did. I had to eat my pride and say, hey, you know what? For this time, I can't have an office. I'm going to be in my garage. My office is going to be Starbucks,
Sure.
And any other place where I can have a meeting with my clients.
Sure.
And all that. And you know what? Still 10 years later, I'm still in there. Because, it's in my model, that works. In my model, that works.
Yeah.
Type of things. But
it works now.
It works now.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work when I grow.
Soon.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're having a big dog meeting about this line works expanding.
But that's the thing. But see, you have, since you opened your business, you have purposely stayed at the size and workload that you have. You are now saying, okay, I want this to be a little bit more. I'm considering growth. And now you're talking about and thinking about and looking at all these other things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you had to start, right? Because you came from firms that were in offices and all that kind of stuff. So you had to start consciously, as you said, thinking, okay, first of all, I got to keep the doors open. That's number one.
Exactly. First of all, I got to keep projects coming in.
That's it. I mean,
and I have to have a place to work.
Right.
What are those two things? Do I have to have a really nice place to work where I'm spending another $1,000, $12,000, or not $12,000? Oh my gosh, $1,200, $1,500 or whatever a month, to keep my doors open?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Not for me in order to grow.
Right. Those that are listening to us from California are probably chuckling right now.
Yeah, they're like
$1,000 a month lease here in Phoenix. You could actually get office space for $2,000 and it be decent office space. But and then those in Tennessee are laughing because I had 4,500 square feet and I was paying $750 a month.
So it's scalable, my friends. It's scalable.
It's funny, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, look, I mean, this is a short, sweet video because it's really simple and it's to the point. If you want to secure long-term success for your business, which you should, that should be one of your goals. You have to forgo short-term benefit. That may be a paycheck for yourself. It may be an office.
True.
Not getting an office, keeping your overhead down. It may be not going for another round of financing, keeping that piece of your business, because long-term, as growth happens and you've given 10, 15, 20% of your business away, you're giving your business away, right? It can be all of these or any of these different things, but it's foregoing the temptation.
Oh, that's a good point.
It is. It's foregoing the temptation to get it now. It comes back. We've talked about it before. Patience. It's one of the number one things to be a successful entrepreneur is you have to find patience. I am not a naturally patient person, so I have to force patience on myself.
Right.
And quite frankly, I think running a business is a great exercise in patience for me because again, I'm not patient normally. That's normally not my my area of expertise is in the patience field.
But especially when we're talking about patience too, it's going back to some of our other videos where, hey, your game plan, where you want to be, you're not going to get there tomorrow, but it's still having the patience to get there. It's still doing what do I need to do today, this week, this month, in order to still be moving towards my goal. Big part, again, still moving, still motion, still, doing all this. Don't, I don't want to choke yourself out of the business so much to where you can't make money.
Right.
I mean, there has to be a balance there. I think the main thing that we're trying to say is just know what you're doing and be patient with, this startup, with this initial phase.
Right.
Things will come. They will. But also, it can go back to and constantly reevaluate. Okay, hey, great. If things are good right now, hey, maybe I can give myself a little raise. Hey, things are whatever, I got to tighten up. It's always in a state of flux. Just be ready for it.
But you brought up a really so if we're getting down and saying, okay, here's the advice, here's the granular level to-dos, right? I think you brought up a really excellent point talking about, in our past videos, we've talked about the patience, we've talked about the planning, we've talked about laying out your goals, setting milestones is something that we've talked about frequently. Here's a good place to add to your milestones and your roadmap. Excuse me, not roadmap.
Compass.
For your compass, right? Is budget to your milestones. So in other words, I'm saying if at this point we want to have this level of business,
that deserves a cheers.
No, it is. So if we want this level of business, we want this many employees, I want to be making this kind of money, whatever it might be, right? Make that a milestone and budget to that milestone.
And realizing that that is a goal and it's a tangible goal and it's something you need to work for. That's a very good point.
Yeah. So that would be my advice is budget to your milestones. Be uber patient. Be uber patient. Calm down. It will come. Be prepared. If you choose to go the route that I went, the route that Scott went, and so many other successful businesses go, and don't take on debt, do not go the venture capitalist route. Don't sell off pieces of your business just to try to keep yourself afloat or trying to go through various rounds of financing. If you choose not to go that route and you want the business to pay for itself, in essence, right, and let the revenue of the business grow the business, which is exactly what we're doing, then you've got to have the patience. You've got to let it happen. It will happen. Be prepared to maybe have a side hustle. Exactly. Right? I mean, freaking sell things on eBay. I mean, I'm doing that. I sell things on eBay, not as much as I should, but I do every once in a while. And we may even do an entire episode on this, but I was showing Scott the other day the amount of money I've made from eBay, which is silly.
I was just simply amazed.
It's just absolutely silly. You go to a garage sale, you buy stuff, and you sell it you flip it on eBay. I mean, it's hilarious. So I mean, there are so many different ways for you to be able to afford to start your business without having to take such an equity draw out of the beginning, where you're able to either have a part-time job or you're selling on eBay or whatever it might be, that you can keep your equity draws down and take that money and invest it back in the business. Because I'm telling you, you do that out of the gate, it will pay off in incredible dividends down the road.
Right.
Yes?
Amen.
Jesus, I don't think there's
preaching
any more.
To the choir.
There's nothing more. I mean, that's it.
That really is.
There's your
really
advice.
Is. Yeah.
There's your advice. Take it, use it, share it, and engage with us. Please send this off to every single person you know, and I'm watching you. I know that you're not sharing, so you better start sharing this stuff. And also engage. Please, we want to hear from you. Give us your comments. Tell us what part of this episode you liked best. We would appreciate that.
We would.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. Scott, thanks
Sounds
again,
like
brother.
Plan.
See you guys.
Have a good one.